Hello, Aku here again. Welcome to episode 36 of my beginner's guide for Feed the Beast. This is not going to be another bee episode. I'm going to have to do a little bit of bees to start with, but this is going to mostly be applied in a logistics episode. But first of all, I want to get through a couple of things I've done with the bees. Now, I've bred some more. I'm having a real hard time getting corroded. Corroded comes from resilient and diligent. That gets you corroded. But if you look at resilient further mutations, you'll see that resilient and diligent gets you rusty, corroded, tarnished, and bauxite. And I've tried breeding this about 15 times, and it shows the 5% chance there. So 2 uranium should be doing it for me, and it is. But I keep getting rusty, tarnished, or bauxite. I'm being real unlucky at getting corroded. I've managed to get the serums for rusty, bauxite, and tarnished. But what I haven't got is I need another one of these. I've been making more resilient princesses with my spare princesses. I'm going to need another diligent drone and another 2 uranium ore. And I'm going to go up onto the roof. I've started going the quick way to the roof outside because it's a bit slow going up the stairs all the time. So there's my last attempt. It's given me bauxite, rusty, and tarnished, corroded. So it's giving me a mixture of all of them, but it's not actually giving me anything I can work with corroded wise. And I've maybe done about 10 goes at this. I've made another alveoli because I'm starting to get materials in to make these a bit quicker now. So I've got another alveoli. The Imperial Queens up in this one up here, and I've added 4 frame housings, and I've been putting frames in, but they get used up pretty quick. So sometime pretty soon, I'm going to have to make a little router system to put frames into them, which I'll show you on a later episode. So the Imperial moved from down here. The Imperial was in there. I moved the cultivated into there. I've added Tesseract. I've just set it to that spawner. That's not really descriptive of what it's doing now, but that's bringing stuff in from the spawners, and it's bringing stuff in from these bees, and these bees up here as well. Look, I've added a Tesseract there. Now we've got ender pearls on tap. Making Tesseracts is really quite cheap. So, and I threw a couple of extra spare bees in there that I think was a noble something, and it's ended up breeding itself into an ancient. So I'll be using that later. I've not bred that on purpose, but that's become a pure ancient now. So they give ancient crumbs. What do they give you? They give us honey and beeswax. That's all right. We'll be using these later to make prehistoric and relic and stuff, but nothing to do with that just at the minute. So I think that's covered everything with bees. I have automated some of the bee production, which is part of the start of the applied logistics, but you can see I've added import and export buses to all kind of things here. I've added a new thing here that we haven't seen before called a level emitter. I'm going to talk through them in just a minute. So these, like when I get a box like rusty like this, I've been putting it back in there and turning it back into a resilient. And that tarnished corroded, I'll put that in there and try and, with a bit of luck, I might get the corroded serum out of that. But that's no big deal. The reason why I want corroded is tarnished and corroded go together to produce something else. I think it's the shining or the glittering, which we need for getting stuff like platinum and stuff. Right, that's all I'm going to do with bees, I think. For now, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. Let me just fill that back up. Put that resilient one back in there. Resilient wants to be in there. There we go, yeah. So I'll turn that box back into resilient. I can always change it to something else later. I think everything's good for that. You've seen that was automated. Right, so let's get on with the automation. The different things I've done with AE. So I've automated this guy here. So this is my impregnated sticks for making frames. And the way I've done this is export bus there, putting melon seeds in. And that there is an import bus, taking things out of here. So that if this was turned on, it would be taking them impregnated sticks out. But I didn't want to use all my wood for impregnated sticks. So I've got loads of wood in there. Obviously wood's running my boiler downstairs, so I didn't want to just make thousands of impregnated sticks. So you see there I've got 512 impregnated sticks. What I've done is I made this thing called a level emitter that I'll show you the recipe of in just a minute. And what I've done is I've put an impregnated stick in there. I've set it to 512 using this. and I put emit redstone when levels are above limit. So that's emitting redstone because it's on the limit. So there's 512 in the ME network, as you can see there. So that's putting a redstone signal out. And this input bus there, I've set it so that it's only active without a signal. So because there's a redstone signal pointing at that, that means this input bus is turned off, which means them impregnated sticks will stay in there until we take these ones out. So the easiest way of doing that, let's take these ones out. Let's take all these out. You see there, it started producing straight away. What's happening is this is now turned on, so they're getting put out. It's making another 512. So pretty much it makes me 512 at a time. What I can do with that is make them into frames. A little bit manual still at the minute. What I should be doing really with this is making them either in a fabricator, putting them straight into the barrel, or with the AE network. And that's one of the things I want to do today. Is I want to start on AE auto crafting. So we'll start setting that up in a bit, but I need to show you what I've done with AE first, so before we get to that point. Let's just manually sling them in there for now. So that's used up them 512 impregnated sticks and a stack of string. So while we're out here, I've changed things around here a little bit. Now if you look at that there, I've got import buses on the side of these, but this has been turned off for days, so I don't think they're actually going to work. I had an import bus on the side of this harvester, and it was splitting things on the floor. So what I actually put was a ME interface there, and that's actually taking things out of there now and putting them down into the network. So that's just that feeds into the main network down under there. What I've also done is I put a level emitter onto this guy, and in this one I've got melon seeds in the system, 512. So when there's 512 melon seeds in the system, that puts this on, and this is set to automate when it's low. So obviously when the signal's on, it stops it producing seeds. So we'll start getting a backup in here. So it's pretty much holding 512 seeds. There you go, it's 513. Look. So when that drops below 511, then that just turned on. You saw it boosted it back up a bit. So that's pretty much maintaining levels with these things. I like doing things just in time. I don't like to have thousands of things just piling up. So as you can see underneath of that, so I've got there's that interface that's taking out the string that's getting harvested from that little flax farm. On the side of the fabricator there's an import bus just taking out seeds when they get fabricated from the melon. I've also connected export bus to feed flax seeds back in there. That should actually have a flax seed in that, but I remade that. I moved the pipes from yesterday and forgot about that, so I'll do that. That should fill that up. There we go. I'll keep that full of flax seeds. Same with this one. I'm going to make this into a normal tree farm at some point. So nothing in there at the minute, but at some point I'll put a normal sapling in there. It's rubber trees at the minute, if you remember. And then I just connected that to the network here where it was already connected. So you can easily expand your ME network really nicely once you've got things going. What else have I done? That's all still the same. Right, this is something I saw on a forum. If you notice the barrels have gone there, the cobble and the dirt. This is something I saw on the FTB forum. I'm going to end up changing all this around because this is a bit surplus now. You see I'm quarrying a abandoned mine there. You saw some fences and rails going into there. This is a bit... This needs sorting out now. I can actually put this tesseract straight into the ME interface there, I think. And I can actually make this tesseract and that tesseract just into one channel and put all of that as just like ME input or something. Get rid of this filter, get rid of the timer, get rid of the chest. It will get rid of that as well, so I maybe have to think of another way of doing that, but the ME network the way it is, I don't think it'll fill up. I could have it so that if that gets full, and that'll only get full if the whole system got backed up. I could send a redstone signal. Yeah, I could do that pretty easy, so I'll probably change that off camera, show you it next time. What we've got here different is, on the incinerator here, I've got an ME storage bus. This ME storage bus has got cobble and dirt in there, but it's not been in it all. If we look with our OmniWrench, shift right click, you see that the priority of this is set to 1. What I've done, and this is from a guy called Peppy on the FTB forums. I mentioned a thread the other day, I think it's a really good idea. What I've got in there is a 1K storage, so the most basic storage and I've got it pre-formatted just to hold cobble, nothing else. So cobble goes into that. So if we look in there, that's pre-formatted just to hold cobblestone. Let's put it back. What are you doing? And I've got one there that just does dirt, and you see that one's full, 1024 used. That one's up to 719, and what they do for me is a full, and of course, before we go anywhere, that if I shift right click with that, that's set to priority 3. So if you remember, the ME chest here is set to 2. Is that right? It still confuses me which way that goes around. So basically what I've got is, because the ME drive is set to a higher priority than the incinerator, than the storage bus on the incinerator, any cobble or dirt coming into the system will come into the system and try and fill up them drives. So that's the only place they can go. That's correct, yeah, and then that's 2, so that's lower, that's higher as well. So anytime we get any dirt, if I take, that's the easiest way of doing it. Look at that. If I take some cobble out of there, this will start filling back up to 8,128. 8,128 is a full storage. Does that make sense? As soon as that gets up to 8,128, any extra will get put into the incinerator via the storage bus. So it's basically, it's limiting the amount. Using a simple 1K storage bus, we're limiting. We're always going to have 8,128 cobble in the system. The dirt is making its way up there. When that gets to the same 8,128, then any excess dirt will go automatically into the incinerator. It's pretty cool, because if you look, the incinerator's interface is massive. The storage bus's interface. Well, this is, in fact, it is the incinerator's interface. We can have loads of things on there that we can just go straight into the incinerator, and as long as we keep the priorities sorted, so as long as we keep let's look at that again. As long as we keep that priority higher, lower, so to say, it really does. I think it should be. Really do think it should be the other way around. As long as that's lower than everything else, then things will only go there if they can't go anywhere else. That's not exactly true, is it? Because they could go into the. Okay, they could go into that because that's unformatted. So because that is formatted to take them, that must still be a higher priority than a lower formatted, than an unformatted thing. Otherwise, we'd be getting cobble and dirt in here. We're getting cobble in here at least. We're not. But yeah, basically, you can use that, and of course, a 1K storage is really cheap. It's just a single storage cell. Single storage cell is just 4 quartz and one of them. Bit of redstone. So that's a 1K storage is really cheap, and each one of them can hold 8,128, which is like about 2 barrels worth, and you're not going to need any more than that. ME drives are pretty cheap as well, so you could just fill up these with 10 different materials that you want to keep 8,000 of each. So it's a lot tighter than keeping barrels, because it's like putting 10 barrels into one block, really, isn't it? And it's party network, and it's anything else we want to bin. So if I want to bin marble, I need to get a bit of marble now. I don't actually want to keep any marble. I've got no cause to keep it. So let's take that bit of marble there. And if we add that to the interface here, that means marble now is going to get incinerated. If we look back up in our system here, I could have kept 8,000 marble, but I don't really need it. Looking here, that marble should go, and it didn't. See, weird things happen. Why is that not working then? Marble's in there. Oh well, I'll work that off camera. That's a priority thing. I'm sure it is. If I take that out, put it back into there. Oh, it's gone. Look, weird. So when I put it back in, because it was already in that chest, that's why, of course it was, yeah. Because it was already in that chest, it was added into that chest. Because it had a place to go. Because it hasn't got a place to go now, it's putting it straight into there, I guess. So that marble's gone. So you can maintain things like that. You see, I'm getting some stuff from chests here, making things a bit untidy. I'll sort all that off camera at some point. I've got a Valiant Princess there from one of the halves. I need a Valiant drone to go with it. Then we can start producing some chocolate, some cocoa to make chocolate frames. So been a bit patient. I'm just waiting for a Valiant drone as well. Like 5% chance of getting them from any halve. So as long as we keep getting rocky halves while we're quarrying, at some point we'll get another Valiant. We'll get a Valiant drone at some point. It's inevitable, but it might take a bit of time. What else have we got in here? But yeah, I really like that system there. I'll be using it a lot more, I think. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to cut the camera. I think I've covered everything that I've changed. No, not quite. Let's just go back up to here. So we're looking at this, weren't we? So that's the export. The import, should I say. The export you can't really see. It's down there somewhere. I can't really reach it. But the export is just exporting wood into there as needed. And then this thing is getting honeycombs. So the export bus there, it's just taking any honeycombs that come into the system, because of course I've got the honeycombs into a tesseract, which brings it into the system. So honeycombs, any of the ones that are automatically put into there, that one's not yet, let's just add that one to it. There we go. So that'll put the ancients into there as well now. So any honeycombs coming in are getting automatically put into that. It's good. And if we look underneath there, there should be an import bus visible. There we go, there's the import bus, just taking squeezed stuff out. A little bit messy. I think at this point, if I was just playing the game, I'd probably be thinking about rebuilding my base at this point, tidy things up. Then on the top bit here, I've got something similar. I've got squeeze there. That just takes out the propolis that gets put up there. The import up top there, the export is putting in honey drops into the squeeze there, which makes sense. And this, I'm just doing things manually. I'm putting things in manually. I've got an export bus set up, but I've got nothing in it. I'm just putting things in manually at the minute because it needs all them different things. I don't want to jam it up with one, so I'm just adding them as and when needed. So keep making the things to keep making the alveries. So I've nearly got another alvery there. I've 24. I need 27. So really, let's 1, 2, 3. 3 of them. Let's grab one of them, 2 of them. We can stick them in there manually. That'll start making us more of them, and we should have enough for another alvery really quick. So we're getting there now, you see. We can start producing bee stuff at a decent rate. And yeah, so yeah, I'm going to cut the camera. I'm going to start making things ready to make us a auto crafting thing, so I don't see CME network, and then we're really cooking. Your ME network's not really good until you can auto craft. Once we can auto craft, everything can be in there, so it'll be all good. Back in a bit. Okay, I'm back. As luck would have it, I got the corroded species out of that tarnished corroded. Was it a tarnished corroded hybrid I threw in there? I got the corroded species, which is pretty nice. I can get rid of the slowest flowering. I can put the corroded species into the synthesizer to start charging it up. Let's just do that. And right, that's it for bees for this episode. No more bees for this episode. Even though I think I can. No, I haven't got quite. Once we get 24 of them, I could make another alvery, but I'll do it off camera. I think I'm going to move the alveries down there into the garden as well. Garden, you know what I mean. Right. So, ME auto crafting. Auto crafting requires a few things. It's really the advanced part of ME network. It makes it so it's all singing, all dancing. It's really nice. Storage monitors are nice as well. I should maybe make some of them. They're pretty cool. What I didn't show you earlier was the level limiters that I'm using a couple of. Level limiters, pretty straightforward. One of the basic processors, a cable, a couple of bits of iron, and a redstone torch. That gets you your level limiter. And you see the interface on them. You put an item in there, and you can set the number, and it'll emit when it's above or below. So you can set it to turn on or off as you need to. And we should have got back up to a stock. There we go. Our stock's around 512. So that's turned itself back on because you probably just spat a couple of more extra in there when I turn that on then. So that keeps the stock as you want it, so you don't end up using all your wood or whatever you're using it for. In this case, it's not so we don't get like 56,000 of them rather than having no wood. So you can control things quite nice with it. Right, auto crafting. What you got to do, you make a box, and the box has to have these ME assembler containment walls in the corners. They're pretty straightforward. Use the quartz crystals, some gold and some iron, and then any face that's not an edge, this will make sense when I make it. You use these heat vents, and then anything in the middle can be filled up with either crafting CPUs that speed up production or pattern providers, and you need at least one pattern provider. This is what holds your patterns, if that makes sense. And then of course we're going to need some patterns as well. And so let's have a look at pattern. There they are. That's an encoded. I need a blank one. Why is there an encoded one there? I can't craft them. There's a blank one there. I'm going to make a stack of them. Let's do that now. Let's make a stack of them. So what was that? 3 glowstone and 3 stacks of iron, 2 stacks of glass, and of course a stack of quartz crystals. They're quite expensive when you add it all up, but there you go, 1 stack of blank patterns. So that's one thing that we need, and the rest of the stuff I've started making. So in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the smallest one possible, because you can always upgrade it later. I make the smallest one possible. I'm going to make a 3x3x3, which will have no room for these guys, crafting CPUs. So all they do, they speed up the crafting. It won't have any room for them. The 3x3x3 has only got 1 slot in the middle, so that 1 slot will have 1 pattern provider. That's all we're going to have room for. That's pretty cool. We'll see how it goes. I can always upgrade it and expand it. I wanted to make the smallest one first, just to see how it goes. So I've made 20 containment walls, and I just need to throw these iron bars into there. That'll make us 6 heat vents. You can see, quite cheap. Well, 20 of them, it's over a stack of gold, so it's not that cheap, but it's pretty cheap. I think it was 16 quartz crystals, stack and a bit of gold. Was it a stack and 24, something like that? So a little bit expensive, not massively. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to place it down here. I'm going to have it centered on that thing, and I'm going to make it a little 3x3 to start with, and probably expand it into a 5x5 in a little while. What I'm going to do is have to move that pattern encoder. So I'm just going to get a little bit of basalt to cover that hole up that we're going to make. So this pattern encoder has got nothing in it. We can grab that, cover that all up, and this is going to cover up the oh, have I crashed? I think I might have crashed touching the chunk loader there. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, I'm back, and that's crashed me a couple of times, so I'm not going to touch it again for now. I'll touch it off camera and work out what's going on with that, but for some reason, touching my chunk loader's crashing me. No idea why. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a little box, 3x3. And we can't make it all yet because we need to fill in some of the gaps because I won't be able to get into it. But basically, what you're making is all the edges are made out of these. So of course, as it gets bigger, the edges will stay on the edges, and these gaps will get bigger. So 4x4, I'd have a 2x2 gap here, so I need more heat vents. But what we need to do is we need to fill up all the little bits, all the gaps, with the heat vents. There you go, like so. We can put that last one in there. We could have actually put that in anyway. And then once we get our pattern provider in there, we can fill the last one up, put the last heat vent in. So let's jump back upstairs. I'm gonna eat some steak. Nom nom nom. Let's jump back upstairs and make our pattern provider. That what it's called? Yeah, pattern provider. And so what does that need? That needs 4 iron ingots. So I've got the 2 conversion matrices, advanced processor there, basic storage cell, and then crafting table. There we go. ME pattern provider. So that goes down there as well. So that goes in the middle. So as you can see, this has only got 1 space in the middle. So that's all we can have in there. A bigger one, you can have more pattern providers. You can also have CPUs to speed things up. But part of me wants to see how quick things craft with no CPUs. Because the only other time I've done this, I made it a 4x4. So that had 8 gaps in the middle. So I put in 4 pattern providers, 4 CPUs. So I want to actually see how slow things craft. Now you see when I put that in there, it made it into a multi-block. This is now a multi-block, and it's got 1 page because we only put 1 pattern provider in. So the pattern providers, each one of them gets you an extra page. So if it had room for 2 in there, I would have had 2 pages, and so on and so forth. Oh, there we go. Now all I need to do is connect that up to the system. And I think to do that, I'll probably use my little I/O port as well, because it's just sat in a chest doing nothing. There it is, I/O port. That can go there. That'll connect everything up. So now this is part of the system. And what we can do now is, nothing's changed here. What we need to do is we need to make some patterns. And for that we need a pattern encoder. We haven't made one of them yet. Let's make one of them. Conversion matrix. Forgot about that part. What was that? 2 of them. 2 of them. I think it was 2 of them. Was it 4 of them? That's correct. And what else do we need? And where's it gone? Pattern encoder. Crafting table and some iron. Easy enough. 4 of them and 7. Be 7 of them, won't it? Yep. Quickly make one of these. Now this, like the preformer, doesn't have to be connected to the network. These are the only 2 things that don't have to actually be connected, because they don't need any power. Have I done that wrong? There we go. Pattern encoder. So, right, where do we want these damn things? My idea was to have it all connected and touching, but for now I'll just stick them here, out the way. ME preformer we can keep down here, because we want access to that thing when we're preformatting. So that can go, oops. That can go there, and this can go there. Don't have to be connected to this at all. I'm just putting them here because it's just a good place than anything else. So what we do, ME pattern encoder. This is where we make our patterns. You can put one in there at a time. So the first thing we're going to want to make, let's make it make storage cells. Take one of them, and one of them. We're actually going to want it to teach it to make these as well. Let's teach it to make these as well. We use that by cooking silicon. Right, we'll have to add a few extra things to this to make it work properly. So I'm going to do a bit of prep work off camera. But let's make one thing to start with. First of all, let's make... So you see I'm just ghosting these into there, so I only need 1. And you can put more than 1. I mean, it's quite... you can also tell it what you want it to craft and stuff. It's quite... There's nothing limiting you into here, but you need to know what you're trying to make. So what I'm going to make here is a basic storage cell. And once you've got it there, once you've got an actual valid pattern, it'll show you what it's going to make. We can overwrite that later, and we don't need to overwrite that later. I'll show you for why. But what we can do now is we can put a blank pattern there, press encode. That's made it into an encoded pattern. And then if you mouse over it, it tells you what it's making. 1 storage cell with 4 redstone, 4 quartz, 1 processor. So what we can do now is click anywhere on this thing. We can pop that into there. If we press shift, it shows you what it is. And now, if we come back up here, you shall see that if we scroll down, past all our items there, or we can change it so that we can, so see there, stored and craftable. We can toggle that so it's only stored or only craftable. And you can see there we can craft a storage cell as long as we've got stuff in the system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them things there into the system. So if we look at stored craftable now, you'll see somewhere in there we're going to have these basic processors. Down the bottom we've got this little storage cell, and what we can do is press begin, and there we go. Now it doesn't say crafted because there's actually one in there. If we take that out, you'll see that'll say craft again. So as long as there's an item in it, you won't see the craft. If there's none of the item available, you'll see it says craft. Put that back there. And the other thing we need is, when something isn't working, it's because something's missing. To find out what's missing, you need a thing called a crafting monitor. Storage monitor, crafting monitor. There we go, crafting monitor. So let's make one of them. Processor, cable, some glass and some iron. Processor, have I got any cable? I think I might be running out of cable. I have to make some more. Yeah, it's my last bit there, look. Make some more cable. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this just needs to be connected to the network. ME crafting monitor. And what we can do with that is we can just stick it there. Should be able to access it from the top, yeah. So let's try and make it craft when it's missing something. Let's grab that bit of glass because I'm tight. So for example, if we look in there now, if we take them out, obviously take that out. If we want to craft one of them, it actually needs one of them. So if we try and craft now, it hasn't crafted because it hasn't got the materials. If we look in there, it'll show you it's currently trying to craft a basic processor, but it's missing a basic processor. So it shows you what it's missing. So and then if you've got more than one craft job on, you can cycle through these. To cancel that job, shift left click it, it'll cancel it. I'll stop trying to do it. I can put that back, and then of course when we have got the right things in there to make. Let's leave that in there. Let's do it this way. So craftable. Let's craft another one of them. You'd see real quick, but it was too quick because it's a real simple craft. It was too quick. You saw it. You could see it make another one. So if you're doing something complicated, you can see what it's currently doing in there. And so now we can build up our crafting recipes. So we could build it up to craft whatever we want now, just by adding more of these in. So we could add the bigger cells and we could add all sorts of stuff in there. So I'm going to break the camera. I'm going to see how long the episode is. I'm going to put a few things in here, make some more cable and stuff, and I'll be back in a little bit. So here we are again. I've got a few things in here now. If I press shift you can see them. I've got the basic processor assembly and the advanced processor assembly. I've got a storage cell and a storage segment. I've got a way of making assembler patterns. I need to add a few more things. A way of making a quartz cutting knife, because a cutting knife is needed in the recipe there. So your system needs to be able to make them as well. And so you start building your thing up like this. What we need to do though is these things, and silicon is made in a furnace. And you see that I've got an ME interface on there. Well, just take that back off a sec. If I had a ME export bus there on that, and I put in quartz, like so. If I put in a quartz dust in there, then it'd make all my quartz dust in the system. It'd make all 173 of that into silicon. Now I maybe don't want that. I'm going to need some for ME cable, for example. ME cable uses ME cable there uses quartz dust and glass to make the quartz fibre there. So I don't want to turn all that into quartz dust. So the way we get around that is, if we get rid of that and we put an actual interface on there instead, it's actually a bit cheaper because it uses an interface. What we can do is, this part of the interface is for craft patterns. So what we can do is, and this is where you need to overwrite it, we can put a bit of quartz in there. And a bit of quartz doesn't craft into anything, but a bit of quartz in a furnace does become a bit of silicon. So we can tell it what we want it to become there. We can say, I want that bit of quartz to become a bit of silicon, and we can encode it to a pattern. And just so you know, by the way, if you want to get rid of a pattern, you just put it in your inventory like so. Shift right click and make it blank again. See, that's blank again now. So let's make that one again. Quartz there, silicon there. Make that into the pattern again. Now, if we put that into our, this isn't ideal. I've moved the pattern encoder there, by the way, because it's right next to me where all the stuff is. So I thought probably better there. This is probably not the best way of making this, because I need to keep running downstairs to actually put things into the patterns. So I'd do this a bit different, I think. I had kind of an idea to see if this would work, but I don't think it's working as good as I'd like it to. But if we put that pattern in there, you'll see that it's got a red background because that's not a valid crafting pattern. You cannot craft a bit of silicon with a bit of quartz dust. So, and it tells you there, red background, no good. But what we can do with that is, we put that in the interface there, down the bottom there. What happens now is, if we look in here, because that's part of the system, and the system knows. Now, if we take them out, you see there, we can now craft silicon. And if we craft one, what it'll do is, it'll say, well, I know that to craft the silicon, I need a quartz in my furnace, that this interface is passing to, that this pattern's in, so it makes us one. So there we go, that's made us silicon, so that's how we make silicon. In the same vein, these processors And we're going to need one of them and one of them, like so. In the same vein, these processors need cooking as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that one basic processor in a furnace becomes one assembly, should I say, becomes a processor, encode that. And the same for the advanced one. One advanced assembly becomes one advanced processor, like so, encode. Now we can put them two in there as well. Basic, advanced, and again if you hold shift you can see what's in there. So you can see this furnace is capable of cooking them things up. So if we put these things in here now, and I believe I had a storage segment cooking. No, did I cancel it? Must have cancelled it. What's going on there? Okay, so nothing's cooking. Now you can see we've only got one of these basic processors. If I was to craft a storage segment takes a storage segment, if you remember, takes, let's have a look, storage segment takes 3 of these storage cells and one of them things. And if we look in there, we've only got, I think, 2 storage cells we have. So to craft one of these storage segments, it's first going to craft a storage cell. So let's have a look. Craft that. You'll see there, at the minute, it's crafting a processor. So it's got all the things to craft that. So it crafted a processor, it cooked it, it did everything, and we end up with one storage segment. Excellent. So now we can carry on going, take the storage segment, we can say a storage segment, no, we need one of them. We can make another pattern now, say 3 storage segments, one of them guys. Is it that the right way around? I'm not sure. I think the actual glass goes in the middle. And 4 of them, yeah, the glass goes in the middle. Swap them to round. There we go, that makes us our storage block. So we can encode that. Go put that down there. Storage block. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So now we can make a storage block. So let's throw this stuff back in there that we're not using. And you see I've put the, see look there, because they was in my inventory. When it had to make one of them before, it actually made a fresh one with what I was seeing. So I've now got 3 of them in there, which I don't really need. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to set up something to start putting crafted bits in. Now I've got like organic and ingots and stuff. Well, you can see now I'm getting to the point where I'm going to need a crafted items one, just for crafted stuff. Otherwise this is going to get real messy real quick. What I can do now is let's just make one for fun. Begin. So you see, there you go. Now you can see, because this has got a few things to do, you see it's making the intermediate bits it needs. It's making these. It's making all the bits it requires for this. And when we're finished, we'll end up with one of them. So you can see this will be making various things in various places. You see at the bottom of this, you can see stuff getting moved around as stuff gets used. It's used a bit out of each of them, cutting nice by the look of it. I should just really leave one in there so it's used up, but that'll be alright for now. You see it's making bits. It's got 3 of them storage cells. It's going to make another one of them any second. There we go, and now we've got a storage block. Excellent. And right, that just build it up. Wonderful. So might as well go the full hog, can't we? Let's do the full thing. Let's make it up to a 64. How much quartz we've got left? 177, 81. We can go. We can keep going. Let's make a 64. So I'm going to need a bit of glowstone. One of them guys again. One of them guys. Yeah. And a bit of glass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Gets our biggest one, our 64k one. Encode that. Put them bits back. And we can encode one of these 64k into stuff for crafted items. There we go. So we've got all 4 of them in there. So as you see, building up basic ME stuff in here just for now. But we could of course put anything in there. And let's do it. Let's craft one. Storage cluster. Begin. Lots of stuff going on in here. Once the storage cluster's done, we can add the final bit, which is, if I remember right, tin, redstone, and glass again. So we need to add a few things to this. It needs to be able to make glass from sand. We need to be able to get sand into the system. So there is quite a lot of things you've got to backtrack and make sure you can provide. Because obviously if this needs glass, if it runs out of glass it's going to stop, so you need a way of making glass. So you need a way of putting sand in the system. And the easiest way of that is, instead of feeding this sand straight into your induction smelter, you're going to want to feed the sand into your system. And you're going to want to feed the system to feed your induction smelter, and to hold a desired amount of sand in there as well. So you can do it all. It's all doable. Now that's still working away. Let's just hang on a little bit for that to finish. 2 of them are made. It's making the final one. So you see something in there is probably cooking. There we go. See, it's cooking up the basic processes. When we're done, what we're waiting for now. Waiting for processors still. So of course we're crafting CPUs. It'd craft a bit better, the actual crafting bit, but the thing we're waiting on here is them. So having CPUs won't make a difference because we're waiting on these things here. Does that make sense? So it won't really, CPUs won't make a difference. Of course, once we get more patterns in there, we're going to run out of space pretty quick. 1 page of patterns is nowhere near enough. On the Let's Play, I was up to 3.5 pages, I think, all in all. Let's make 1 more of them, let's make 1 more of them, and then let's make that. So we're nearly there. There we go. 1 storage cluster, and then let's make the pattern for this. If I remember this correctly, I think it's 3 of them, 2 of them. There we go. 64k storage. Let's give that a pattern. Encode. So now, whenever we need a storage, we can make a 64k. I'll put that under there. I'm also going to make so we can make 1k storages as well, because they're pretty useful. So I'll do that, and then let's craft this little single storage cell there. Should be nice and quick. There it is, and let's do the same with that, but for 1k, because say for 1k I'm going to use for storing 8,128 of a particular item. So we're going to want 1k as well. Encode, there we go. Put that in there, and I'm going to call it an episode there, so I don't want to do too much at once. Let's put them there and there. There we go. So now we can make 64k storage cells, we can make 1k storage cells, we can make some ME cables. We need to add things like ME interface into there, we need to add in conversion matrix, and we need to make sure we've got plenty of sand to make glass in the system. We need to make buses and stuff, level emitters. We can add all them to there, and I need to make the storage cell and actually get a storage cell, start to format it for crafted items. We've got plenty of slots in here, and of course we can always add more ME drives. So I'll do some more patterns off camera, and we'll talk about it next episode. So as always, thank you very much for joining me. I hope it was entertaining, and I hope I paced it alright so that you know what I'm talking about and I ain't just rushing around. This should have taught you, if you've not done it yet, how to make a bit of a basic crafting system with some items there, and yeah, looking good. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, bye.